Deltarune Chapter 5 is now here, and I loved it. The gameplay, the characters, the mechanics, all of that solidified it as my favorite chapter as of now. As promised in my last video, today we are gonna see how many turns it takes to beat this chapter. However, we must first look at this comment made by professional Deltarune speedrunner nerds. You can skip C round in the survey program version of Deltarune with a manual glitch, which would save a turn, but this is apparently exclusive to consoles, and you can't downpatch Deltarune on consoles, so I'm not counting this one. You can also skip the Suzy and Lancer fight with this glitch, and this is possible in any version, so that's 4 turns saved. Finally, Senna can actually barely be beaten in only 5 turns if you use the Lodestone armor. This gives you a little bit more CP, which if stacked can be used for more Root Busters, and will also be filling every empty slot on each party member with Lodestones for Chapter 5. Seeing as a couple fights that require a lot of TP to be beaten, this takes our total turn counter from 95 to 90. With that out of the way, let's begin. Before we enter the Flower Kingdom, let's look at Malleus's items in Castle Town. You might remember that we had to use a lot of tension items in Chapter 4 to save turns in the dark battles. Chapter 5 doesn't have any battles in the dark, but it does have a couple fights where defending only gives 8 CP instead of 16. If we combine a Scar Elixir with a Mystic Band, we are able to craft a Tension Max. Unfortunately, there is only one Mystic Band in the entire game so far, so we're only able to craft one, and trust me, we'll need it later. Now, our first encounter here is with a single Floridine, because we need to open this door. This encounter is beaten in only one turn, by simply attacking it. The game then forces us to fight these 2 other Floridines with Flowery on our team. Now, I'm not sure if I should count this as a turn or not. This clearly isn't a standard battle. Flowery is our 3rd party member here, but goes before Chris and Suzy have their chance to do anything. Not to mention the fact Flowery isn't even a standard party member. I asked some friends about this, and most of them said it shouldn't count as a turn. But if you do, I totally understand that, so let me know in the comments if you think this should count as a turn or not. Next are these 2 Shiris, which are also beatable by just attacking one each turn. Then we have this Netscape disguised as a chest, which kept following me up the stairs no matter how fast I climbed them. But eventually, I discovered you can just ram into it to make it flee. At the end of the garden, we find the best character in the entire game. At first, I thought she'd take 5 turns since each act increases her mercy meter by 20%. But it turns out, if you use the check command 4 times in a row, she'll get bored and use her final attack a bit quicker. With that, we obtain the feather, and no, anything involving it does not count as a turn, unless it makes us enter a traditional turn-based battle. In the cliffs, you find this room with leaflings, which home in on you, but they can be stunned if you slash them at the correct moment, so you don't have to fight them. A couple rooms later, and you have to fight these 2 Cawcaws. I tried everything, but right before the dash gate, they'll block our path no matter where you go, so there's 2 more turns wasted on them. Next is a fight against Seth and Aqua. Letting the fight progress normally would take 7 turns, so we're gonna have to attack them. Seth has 3600 HP, while Aqua has 3060, but we actually just need to get her below 10% of HP before they run away. With a Root Buster during turn 3, we can do this in 4 turns, but definitely not any lower since another Root Buster on turn 2 wouldn't nearly be enough to get her HP down that low. Now we've arrived at Flower Castle, and I went right first, but the order doesn't matter. In the cafe, we have a drink dispenser with 3 essential items, the Ramon, the Fanta, and the Flower Soda. Each of them can only be bought once, but gives 16 CP when consumed, and as I've said before, some battles in Chapter 5 only give 8 CP when defending. Anyway, there's this mandatory nasty encounter on our way. What we do here doesn't matter, we just need to get to the enemy's turn and touch the fake bullets before it runs away. Now we must fight Orange and Green, which aren't killable, and also are one of those fights that give less CP when defending. You might be wondering why I don't just use S and R actions, since they give 12 TP each. But remember, skipping the Sweet Capping Cakes disables the option to act with Suzy and rouse it permanently for that file, and this would only be worth it if it saved at least 3 turns. It also doesn't let us use Suzy's healing for some reason. Anyway, I tried using the raw moon, but I still wasn't able to get enough TP to use the get along axe every turn, so I also equipped the pink ribbon. This item is usually not worth it, since it makes graze and gives you less TP than normal, despite increasing the graze size. But in this battle, most of our TP comes from touching the green bullets, and the pink ribbon also makes it so attacks last a little bit longer. With that, I was able to finish the fight in 5 turns. Now with the left, avoiding these Shinobitos is tricky, but doable. Past the yellow door is the city room with a tension max, which will be important later. We then arrive at the blue and yellow fight, which also aren't killable, but luckily don't compromise our TP gain from defending. Since it costs 40 TP to start a trial, and there are 4 of them, this fight is doable in 5 turns. At the top of the castle, this unavoidable Shinobito isn't killable, since Seth heals it to full every time, even if its HP is 0, and we also can't spare it in 1 turn, but there is still one option left. If we use one of our 2 tension maxes with Grace, we can then use Root Buster with Suzy, which will make it tired. In that same turn, use Pacify with Rousey, and it'll be spared in only 1 turn. It might seem like a waste to use one of our only tension maxes here, but there aren't many fights left, so as of chapter 5, this is fully worth it. Next are these 3 Shias. I tried falling over and over, to see if for some reason that would despawn them, but it didn't. Jumping over them also doesn't work, so we have to fight them. I tried to see if it would be possible to beat them in 2 turns by making them tired, since Nightmare hits multiple enemies at once. But this would either require all 3 party members to be able to put each enemy at half health in 1 attack, or for Chris and Rousey to be able to single-handedly kill the 3rd one in just 1 turn, which isn't possible with our current gear, so this fight takes 3 turns. We can also fight the Seeker boss of this chapter now, but she herself says this is a long battle, and we literally only have the final boss left, so yeah, we're not fighting her. This leads us to Flowery. If you try to attack him, Suzy and Rousey will fully heal him, and even waste TP if you try again, so we must axe. And every single axe option in this fight costs a lot of TP. This is another fight where defending only gives 8 TP, so this is why we'll be using the rest of our items. The first 3 turns are pretty chill, since his attacks give a lot of TP. Just make sure to act with just Chris and not alongside Suzy and Rousey, even if you waste more TP, since defending will just give back more anyway. He'll call Seth to use this attack. Damage boosts through the normal bullets to reach the green ones faster, and get max TP back. In turns 5 and 6, use the last 2 16 TP items. If you land on enough of the Lily Pads during Aqua's attack, and parry enough punches from Flowery and Orange, you should have enough TP to use Praise alone with Chris one last time by turn 8. Use Suzy's turn to use our final item, the Tension Max, so we can use the Justice action immediately in turn 9. Finally, follow Suzy's idea in turn 10 and the fight is over. This was by far the most extensive chapter for this challenge yet, with 11 battles and 38 turns in them, totaling an average of 3.45 per battle. But keep in mind, this chapter is still pretty new, meaning new glitches might be discovered in the future to skip some fights. With that, this video is over. Thanks for watching. I have a spreadsheet with each equipment and action I took in each battle in the description. If this video gets enough traction, I'll definitely try to make another one for chapter 6, which seems to be releasing next year already. And don't worry, I'll talk about the weird drop whenever 7 is out, since it seems like it pretty much skips 5 and 6. With that said, until next time.